Welcome to the show. Now, you're listening or watching this because you've got questions about buying a house. And this summer, we have seen a new swell of confused and bewildered people come to us with a whole bunch of questions. So I'm going to rapid fire help today, giving you answers and possibly some tips and things that are going to help you for the best way to shop for a home, figuring out if a home is right for you, finding the best financing for a home, negotiating and getting the best deal, and then what to look for in the home inspections. So let's do this.
How to Buy a Home educates, protects, and connects first-time homebuyers to qualified vetted realtors in their area. Whether you're looking for DIY information or step-by-step guidance, How to Buy a Home is the #1 resource for first-time homebuyers.
What is up, How to Buy a Homies? I am still David Sidoni, and the summer market is heating up here in 2025. Today's episode is going to get you ahead of the game as a home shopper and a buyer. Here's some basics, simple tips for shopping, financing, negotiating, and inspections. This episode is going to be rapid fire. If you want more details, well, we've got 6 years worth of nothing but pure education, empowerment, and information for first-time homebuyers. And the podcast library is full of deep dive episodes if you want even more information to boost your confidence. Today, I'm going to give you the basics, some tips. We're going to put all those deep dives in the show notes. It'll be a cheat sheet for you. It's going to be a cheat sheet for you with all the tips and deeper dives into all these questions. And everything that we talk about in those episodes, they have been successfully tested for 20 years with real people just like you. Okay, today's first topic is home shopping. First tip, research neighborhoods thoroughly. You can use crime maps, public record searches, some cool websites that break down neighborhoods for you, and color-coded map overlays to assess areas beyond just the listing photos. Yeah, you heard me, color-coded, real, in-your-hand paper maps. About 15 years ago, I had a client buy an OG paper map of the neighborhood she was looking at, and she bought a box of crayons to go with it. Now, she was a single woman, and when she found the information she was looking for on the crime stats, the school districts, the community things, everything she was looking for, she would color in the areas. If she didn't like it, she'd color it in red. And another great way for her to figure out what color she wanted to color in her map, she would drive different routes to work every single day. Even though it was a straight shot from her apartment, she would look through several different neighborhoods. She'd also do it at different times of day and night during rush hour, school arrival and departure times. She checked them out on Friday and Saturday nights and Sunday mornings, and she even drove by some of them at 2 and 3 in the morning just to see what was going on. She ate at the restaurants. She ordered takeout food. She got her laundry done in different neighborhoods. She visited the dog parks, and she even did some banking and other errands in the different neighborhoods that she was researching. Now, then she'd go back to her map and take red, yellow, and green crayons, and she'd color it in. Red for nope, yellow for maybe, and green for I love this area. Then when she got a new listing on her computer or her phone, she'd bust out her color-coded map, and she'd see what color that new listing was sitting in. Your next tip for shopping is to bundle your home viewings efficiently. Schedule multiple home showings in one day, and you should definitely bring some snacks and water. You want to make sure that your mind is fresh when you're comparing the different homes. Here's a little tip. If you're seeing 6, 7, or 8 homes or more, after every single home, once you go through the first 3, rank them 1, 2, 3. If a home's number 4, it shouldn't be on your list. Don't think about it again. Trust me, if you're trying to rank 1 through 8 homes, your brain's going to turn to mush. Just always keep a top 3. Another thing you can do while you're out home shopping is keep specific notes, things that maybe aren't in the listing photos, something that's a little different, something that's going to remind you, especially with your top 3 homes. That way, when you go back and look at the listing photos, you'll have a little extra reminder so you make sure that you know all the details about it, and be sure to specifically note all the things that you know are not in the listing photos that you've already seen. Another tip when you're home shopping, be mindful of surveillance. Sellers oftentimes will have Ring or nanny cams hidden, so avoid any negative comments about the property while you're looking at homes. The rule is this: real talk happens past the sidewalk. Now, if you're looking at new homes, one of the things you can look at is the public records for reviews. Verify the builder's reputation using the Better Business Bureau reports, as well as the local reviews. And speaking of shopping for a new home, this is a gigantic tip. Never sign up online or sign in at a new build location. This is the biggest mistake that I see people do, and it's not your fault. Because what happens is there's fine print when you sign up for an email notification or you sign in at a location just to tour a home, not to do anything else. But when you do that, you forfeit your right to have an advocate that represents you in the future purchase. You have to use the builder's real estate agent. Yeah, it's so shady and so sneaky. And it's because the builders only care about one thing, profits. So never ever sign in for new builds. Get your realtor first and go with them. Another tip on new builds, the prices you see on the billboards, that is a massive bait and switch. A home listed for $400,000, that means you're getting the bare bones home that looks nothing like the models or the pictures that you see online. Most of the time, new build homes have zero landscaping. You just get dirt and then the super minimum on everything else. So that $400,000 price tag got you so excited. You're basically getting the frame of a home and dirt for all your yards. So it might cost you $100,000 to get it upgraded to the kind of home that you're looking for. So the rule of thumb is for your best interest, hire your realtor first before you do any research on new construction homes or new construction sites. You definitely want an advocate whose only concern is the best home for you, whether that's a home in that track or someplace else. There's an entire episode on new build versus resale homes, and that'll be in the show notes. Next, when you're looking at any homes and you're trying to get a gauge on the value, you're trying to figure out the pricing, remember this, list prices are garbage. The asking price of the home, that is absolutely in no way indicative of the value of that home. And it's definitely not telling you what that home or similar homes to the home that you're looking at, it doesn't tell you what they're going to actually sell for. They can sell for way below or way above that list price. That list price could be $50,000 high or $50,000 low of the actual value of the neighborhood. To get a real value of a home, always use the sold comparables. Never ever look at the garbage list price. There's just too many variables. Once you know a neighborhood's home values well enough, you should be able to walk in the house, and if you're on The Price is Right, you'd win the Showcase Showdown, knowing the exact value of the home. So when you've got that down, the next thing you need to know is the local market trends. Now, I give market updates here on the podcast at least a couple of times a month, and you can check the show notes for episodes to help you understand what kind of housing market is happening right now this summer of 2025. What's going on is we're seeing inventory creep up, but it's different everywhere. Here's the catch for your home shopping. Real estate is local, so you absolutely need a local real estate support team to help you really stay on top of what's happening for values in your area. Like right now, Austin, Texas, and parts of Florida, they are huge buyers markets with tons of inventory, homes sitting too long, and sellers starting to get desperate. But in other cities, including where I am in Southern California, starter homes are still seeing 5 to 10 buyers in the first weekend. The good news is you don't have to figure this out on your own. Go back to the 10 steps for buying a home. That's episodes 301 through 310. You get the lowdown on interviewing and choosing the right real estate team for you, including your realtor and your lender. And you need a great local team because what's happening locally is going to impact how the sellers are doing things in your area. Are your sellers offering credits back to the buyers? Are they offering price reductions? Or should you expect bidding wars? So you got to be ready before you get out there. And the last tip for home shopping, this one is a mentality shift. Far too often I see first-time home buyers think that the realtor's main job is to sit down with them, listen to the type of house that they're looking for, and then they go out there and find the home that fits their needs. This is old school thinking. Today, actually finding the home that's going to be right for the buyers, it's truly kind of the least important part of your realtor's job. Because see, here's the way it works. In 2025, the best results happen when the realtor and the buyers use all the tools at their disposal to both hunt. They're both checking out homes and neighborhoods. It's a partnership. I mean, after all, this is going to be your home for years. So I can sit and listen to you guys for an hour, but still, you guys driving through neighborhoods, looking at homes, maybe popping into some other open houses if I'm not available, or if you just have some extra time after we saw some homes. That knowledge is going to help in the partnership So the most successful stories I see are when the buyers take ownership in discovering what they like in a home and a neighborhood. And if that sounds like the realtor or the dude on the microphone here is sloughing the job off onto you, keep this in mind. This will help your mindset. You don't hire a realtor to just find you a home. You don't hire a realtor for them to find you a home that nobody knows about. A seller would be an idiot not to put a home on the internet to get as many people as they can to look at it. So in 2025 and beyond, all homes are on the internet. You're hiring the realtor for their expertise once you or they find a home for you. They're going to help you sift through the homes. Yes, they can give you some information about neighborhoods before you go there, but mostly you're hiring them for their in-depth knowledge about specific homes that either they find or you find. And I said mostly, that's wrong. You're hiring them for that. What you're mostly hiring them for is the ability to negotiate once you find your dream home. They are going to be the main instrument that's going to help you secure your dream home once it's found, no matter who finds it. And then they protect you in the complexities of the home purchase. Moving on to the next topic, financing and loan strategies when you're shopping for your first home. First, let me start with the biggest myth about getting a loan as a first-time home buyer. The myth is that you should only ever buy a home with 20% down payment, or that you have to have a 20% down payment. Lie. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I can tell you this, most of the first-time home buyers, of the thousands that I've worked with, they've used a 3 to 5% down payment, and many of them got a home with a 0 down payment. Now, that's just me and my personal experience. You want to talk about the nation? The stats are in, and right now, the average first-time home buyer puts about 8% down. And I'm telling you that stat is high because many of those first-time home buyers over the last year when this data was collected, well, interest rates were high and buying a home was tough, so a lot of them were getting parental assistance and putting a bigger down payment than if they were doing it on their own. I can tell you that 8%, most of those people are buying at 3 to 5%. 20% is an absolute myth. And frankly, it's just really not feasible in the current market. And that's cool because it doesn't have to be. The story of 20% is a lie you've been told. Next, when it comes to home loan and financing advice, I realize that everyone out there wants some down and dirty quick answers, a nice list. But the real truth is there isn't a one-size-fits-all checklist of the top 10 things that you should do. There's no PDF that I can send to you. And anyone who tells you that do this list and you can buy a home, they are trying to sell you something. I really believe it'd be irresponsible for me to try to advise anyone that way. So ethically, it's just not something that I do. I tell you, yeah, I guarantee you this is easier than you think, but I'm not going to tell you that all you have to do is these 3 things and boom, you're ready to go. I still want to make sure that everyone understands it. So 6 years of doing this podcast, tens of thousands of buyers through How to Buy a Home. We got over 2 million downloads. I do have one stat when it comes to getting the financing together for people trying to buy a home. In those 6 years, when people have reached out with a question and they're looking at mortgage calculators online to figure out what they can or can't do, well, then they plan their numbers based on the numbers that they get from that calculator that they're doing on their own, setting themselves up before they call and talk to someone. So when they reach out to us, the people that tell us that they're 12 to 18 months from having the right down payment and savings to be approved for a home loan, once they get connected to or they find their own experienced local real estate team, 72% of the people that say they're 12 to 18 months out are under contract in 3.2 months. So 72% of you are further along than you think. The internet can only get you so far in your financing plan, but a professional team who specializes in first-time home buyers, they can open doors, yes, that's a home pun made just for you, that you never knew existed. So let me drop a few quick tips here, and then you can check the show notes to get the details on all things financing a home, from a beginner to someone who's ready to buy right now. One myth I bust all the time is one that permeates the internet, that step 1 to planning to buy a home is to reach out to a lender, get your loan approval, run the numbers, and then go out and shop interest rates. Homies, this is wrong. Short answer, incorrect, no bueno. This is not the best way for you to get a deal trying to finance your first home. This is lenders trying to capture you. That's what they call it. They're trying to grab you for their bottom line and just push you into a program rather than working with you to create the right plan or to get creative and find the plan that's going to work in your best interest. There are a very, very teeny tiny small few group of lenders that can help you first. But the advice that I would seriously tell my sister in Missouri is this. Don't go and get a lender first, even though everything on the internet tells you to do that. No. I would say, sis, Laura, go out, interview, and shop for your realtor first. And then get recommendations from the realtor to find local lenders that can help you. Now, I'm telling you this because of my 20 years experience. I'm not going to be helping you in Missouri. Love you, sis. I ain't flying out there, and I don't have a license there. But that is truly the best way for you to get a maximum home loan, that you have a team working together and everyone's working in your best interest. Now, as soon as I would tell my sister that, then my dad would argue with me and tell me, hey, I bought a bunch of homes, David. I know what I'm doing. And then I would remind him that I'm a national educator on this. I've been doing it since 2019. Yet I would still need to talk to him for 45 minutes about how he shouldn't use a lender that he found online. And then we'd have another 45-minute conversation about how he shouldn't use his bank or his credit union either. So let me tell you why, what I would have to take 45 minutes to tell my dad. Traditional banks, your Wells Fargo, your B of A, your Chase, your Citibank, they're going to treat you transactionally, and credit unions are going to do the same. They are incredibly conservative in what they do, and they do not have all the creative and unique loan programs desperately needed by first-time homebuyers in today's economy. Now, your credit unions especially, they're great for personal loans and car loans. They stink for home loans. I've been doing this with almost 300 transactions with my friends who all work at Disneyland. Disneyland has an awesome credit union. Not once has any buyer used the credit union at Disneyland when they go through the process and talk to a mortgage broker. Because the tip is, a mortgage broker, they can offer you all the same loan programs as the bank and the credit unions can, plus a whole lot more. And they're going to have flexibility and, most importantly, much, much better service and support, which is the thing a first-time homebuyer needs more than anything else. The other myth about financing that kills people all the time when they're thinking about buying a home is waiting to get a full loan approval. What happens is there's a bunch of lenders out there selling what we call a pre-qualification. So here's the deal. Don't do that. Just go out and get a full loan approval. Now, I know a pre-qualification is easier. It's faster. Great. But it's not worth the paper or the kilobytes of email that it's written on or emailed to you. It's nothing. Worthless. Eventually, when you get serious and you're writing an offer, the seller and the seller's agent, they're going to need to see a full loan approval. And when you take the time to get one, the great thing is you're also going to discover loads of other things that you might need to do, just little tweaks that can help you get the best possible loan products and interest rates. So do a full loan approval early. And I'm telling you this, don't stress on the credit inquiry, also known as a hard pull. A lot of people freak out about doing a loan approval early because they think it's going to tank their credit score. Well, number one, do you know everything about how the credit score works? You don't? Cool. Go check out everything I've ever done on the podcast where I talk about credit scores. You can learn. The other thing is the hard pull isn't going to affect you. It's just a few little points. You can even get a 30 to 45 day window, depending on what's going on with the lenders at that time, where you can get your credit pulled multiple different times from multiple different lenders, and it only counts as one single inquiry if you really want to go out and shop like crazy. So it's not going to harm your credit score. The hard pull, big myth, do it early. You get better information and you get better loan programs. Next, when you're going through the process, grab yourself that great real estate support team early so you can ask them about down payment assistance programs. Now, these evolve frequently. So I'm telling you, what someone did 6 months ago, that program might not even exist anymore. So you're going to need to have a relationship with someone who understands everything about these programs because they can save you thousands. Even if you've got a big down payment, a lot of times you can still put on top of what you've got a down payment assistance program. And sometimes you can even stack them on top of each other and use more than one with a single purchase. Another big tip on financing, consider seller credits or mortgage interest rate buy downs. Now, in some markets, the sellers might give you a credit. You can use that to repair the house, lower your down payment, or get that temporary mortgage interest rate buy down so you can really afford the first few years in your home. So that's rapid fire on getting a home loan. And it is so much more than this. There's no PDF checklist for this. But the good news is you can straight up get a master's degree in first-time homebuyer home loans by checking the show notes with multiple episodes that go into detail on all things home financing. Yes, this is a big deal. So do your homework. And then remember, get your trusted lender sooner than you think you should. A good one's going to want to help you plan and set things up. That planning means that you're going to be in a better situation and keeps everybody from scrambling. You don't have to do this on your own. Find someone who's willing to bring their expertise to you 6 months, 12 months, 18 months before you're ready to buy. Okay, you got your home shopping, you got your lending all in place. Now you're getting ready to write offers. Let's talk about negotiation tactics. There is no black and white to the tips for negotiating on buying a home. There is no never do this or always do that. Why, you ask? Sellers be crazy. That's why. I always tell everyone buying a home, you know what? If things go wrong, this seller doesn't give a dang about you. You can't Karen this one and complain to the manager. There are no rules when you're buying a home. A home sale is what we call a one-off. It's one person selling one item, one time, and they couldn't care less if you give them a 1-star review. Now, yeah, there are some basic rules that should be followed, but how much to offer, what you can negotiate, and what to expect, it varies on every single home, depending on that seller. And sometimes, gang, depending on the listing real estate agent who's representing the seller. But I'll give you some basic guidelines that you and your realtor can discuss. When it comes to how much to offer on a home, remember, list prices are garbage. So you got to know the market. Lean on your realtor. That list price could be $50,000 high or $50,000 low. Now, here's what you need to keep in mind when you're looking. Use the sold comps to bring in a good number to understand the value. Never look at list prices. Never look at homes that are pending. Never look at homes that just went under contract because you don't get the real price until it's sold. Look at the sold homes in the area you're looking at. That's going to be the way for you to figure out the true value. And then here's a ginormous tip about negotiations. That negotiation on the price, this is the first of many negotiations in the purchase of a home. You've got negotiations post the inspection and post the appraisal. So to put it bluntly, do not piss off the seller for a few $1,000 when you're trying to figure out the price of $415,000 or $418,000. Because if they're willing to make a deal and you seem like you've got a good chance of getting it, get in there with good feelings, because the upcoming negotiations after the inspection, after the appraisal, and after the disclosures, when all kinds of other random things could come out, that could cost you tens of thousands of dollars, or maybe just end up being too expensive for you and you lose the deal, especially if they're upset at you because they already walked into this with a bad taste in their mouth. Your real estate team shouldn't make you feel like you're just offering them whatever they want to get into a deal, to get under contract. There's one little thing about buying a home that's very interesting. The home has to appraise, and if you have the appraisal in your terms and conditions of your contract, then really you cannot overpay for the home. The main thing is just understand, if you've done your homework and you understand the market value, then you want to avoid lowballing on your first offer. You don't want to insult anybody. And you don't want to get really intense when you're trying to figure out the price when we're talking about $500, $800, $1,000, $2,000. What you want to do is get into the deal and then use your real estate team to understand that you're going to be able to renegotiate as you go along. That right offer constructed by an exceptional realtor is going to make sure that you have negotiating power and you have outs. In general, your agent should be trying to write what we call a clean offer. That demonstrates to the seller and the seller's agent, hey, we're not just a ready, willing, and able buyer, but we're someone who's going to be a smooth transaction, which is really important to the seller and the seller's agent. Now, even if you do put in a clean offer, most of the time you need to expect counter offers, especially in the competitive markets. So again, work with that skilled agent with creative strategies to strengthen your position, not just in the first offer, but in the counter offers as well. And I know this is going to sound crazy to you, but price is like one of 18 things that you're going to be putting into the contract for your offer. Price is not always, and many times, nowhere near the most important thing. Your terms on your contract, that can make your offer way more attractive to a seller. And a lot of the terms might not cost you anything, or it's going to cost you very little to improve those terms and be more attractive to the seller. So before you start writing your offers, ask your realtor to go over all the terms that they want to use to make all your offers look more appealing. Another thing to know before you start writing offers is to understand the way the earnest money deposit works. You do have to put money in upfront when your offer gets accepted. It's different in every single state, but know that your deposit is usually fully refundable if you back out during what we call the contingency, condition, or due diligence period. There's a window of time. And that's one of the terms that's going to be part of your offer that your agent can construct to look more attractive to the seller. Managing the times of those contingency timelines. Now, each state has strict deadlines that exist for contingencies, and then that's going to be the timeline that you have to basically move forward or bail on the deal, and that's when your deposit becomes at risk. If you miss those contingency, condition, or due diligence timelines that are set up at the time that you write the contract, that's when you risk losing that earnest money deposit. But a skilled realtor is going to actually tighten up the timelines to make your offer look more attractive, but protect you and your deposit at the same time. Once you're under contract, make sure that you read all the disclosures that you get very, very carefully. Seller's going to tell you everything they know about the home. So that's where you're going to be reading about insurance claims, property defects, neighborhood stuff, local hazard information, earthquake, floods, tornadoes, hurricanes. Make sure you take a good look at all the disclosures when you're under contract. Which brings us to our last piece of rapid fire information today, the inspection. You're definitely going to use your time after your inspection as leverage when you're going to be renegotiating the deal. So make sure that you go into the deal with everyone feeling good, because the home inspection, that's a big chance to renegotiate if you find things that make you think, hey, I was willing to buy this, but then I looked under the hood and I found out all this stuff is broken. So either it needs to get fixed or I'm going to have to readjust the price. And here's more rapid fire on home inspections. If you've been following the insanity of the housing market over the past few years, you might have heard about people having to waive their home inspection to get their offer accepted. Now, the rule of thumb is to protect yourself, you should pretty much always get a home inspection to give yourself the right to back out of a deal if you find things you don't like. Now, there are some very few exceptions, but very rarely in the case of a first-time home buyer should you be just waiving an inspection because you don't have that information at hand. You're not an investor who's bought multiple homes. So most of the time, make sure you get a home inspection. Now, when you write the contract, you're going to get that home inspection contingency or condition or option period or due diligence. So talk with your realtor and ensure that your purchase contract includes a clause that lets you back out with that contingency if there are major defects found in the inspection. Now, as far as the actual inspection itself, understand how the inspection works. Your home inspection is a general home inspection. I say again, it's a general home inspection. They're pretty broad. If there are deeper issues they find in the general inspection on plumbing, foundation, roof, electrical, any of that stuff, depending on how questionable the issue is, you might want to request a specialized follow-up inspection for someone who specifically works on that particular item. So go into your general inspection understanding it has limitations. That's why it's key to know before you get into a contract, what are our timelines for our inspections? I usually recommend you book your general inspection as soon as possible, like days after a contract gets accepted. That way you have extra time if you need to book follow-up inspections, depending on what they find at the general inspection. Another tip on home inspections is do not skip an inspection if you have an as-is deal. As-is happens. A lot of people say, yep, that's it. Take it or leave it. We're not doing repairs. Don't even talk to me about it. Cool. For your own sanity, peace of mind, and absolutely your protection, get an inspection anyway. Tell them, dude, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, I'm not going to ask you for anything. All right. But I do want an inspection, because even if the repairs aren't made, part of your due diligence during the period of buying a home is figuring out and identifying how much those repairs might actually cost you. And that could change the way that you handle your closing. In general, an inspection can be used to help you ask for repairs or credits before you commit to buying. But in this case, you're going to be just figuring out, well, is this still worth it at the price that we've negotiated? The other thing about an inspection list I tell people all the time is, an inspection is going to scare the crap out of you. It always does. But with the right skilled, trusted team, you can figure out what actually needs to be done and what stuff you just need to keep an eye on. So I tell people this all the time. A home inspection, it's a great to-do list. It's going to point out the items that maybe you can't or don't feel comfortable asking the seller to fix a repair, because if you did, you'd be asking them for $75,000. But it's a great list for you to know that you can keep. And as you're a new homeowner, you can keep an eye on things and start ticking those boxes as you go along and fixing those things. A good real estate team is going to help you use your home inspection as a negotiation tool while never risking your earnest money deposit. So that trusted relationship is crucial so that you can stay protected with the ability to walk away from a home without losing your money. Now, new construction, whole different thing. But here's the best advice I've found from learning from builders, other agents, and buyers themselves. Do 2 inspections. You want to do 1 inspection of the home before the walls are closed in, pre-drywall, to catch the hidden issues. And then you want to do another one right before the final walkthrough. Thing about new homes is they've got pretty good warranties. Make sure you know what they are before you ever get under contract. Builders typically offer 1 year for the finishes, 2 years for the big systems like your HVAC and your plumbing, and 10 years on structural defects. Now, in a resale home, you're going to be able to negotiate most of the time some sort of home warranty. And if the seller's not going to pay for it, I recommend you talk to your realtor and you get one. It's usually a 1-year warranty, which is going to cover your major repairs as well as some of your minor repairs, like fixing appliances if they break. You're going to need this. You're going to want to protect yourself in your first year of home ownership. And in the grand scheme of things, when you're buying a home, they don't cost that much. Okay, that's all I got for today. Now, if you're wondering why this rapid fire list took like way over 30 minutes, welcome to the world of real home buying research. When there's no BS and you're searching for clarity, you're going to get a lot of detail on what you need to do to be successful. And if I skim by something that you want more information on, check the show notes, details on all these topics. And you can always go to howtobuyahome.com and just hit the Ask David button. And eventually, usually in a day or two, I answer every question that comes in. Keep researching, make a plan, stay curious. You can do this.
Looking for more DIY education or your own personal step-by-step guidance through the home buying journey? Since 2019, How to Buy a Home has been the #1 resource for first-time home buyers. So visit howtobuyahome.com to get started.